build the parts together.
Perfect.
Something to turn off fire hydrant into a garden hose.
Just the common everyday stuff that Troy deals with.
He is coming. Oh, okay.
I won't have to do it again though, now I'm gonna have that piece, I'm gonna have one of those babies all the time.
Portage Street use it right now because they had a big property fire right now, just north of Portage.
I guess we're all set. Microphone's on there. We will now call the May 14th meeting for the Caribou Utilities District Board of Trustees to order. First item on the agenda tonight, we have the Business Investment Group from Caribou here, I think that wants to speak to the board.
Thank you, Troy Haney from Caribou and Chair of the Business Investment Group. The reason we're here tonight is we have a project on 30 North Street that we worked with the City of Caribou on. It was a tax-acquired property that they turned over to the big organization prior to my being on the team there, but basically it was to renovate a building and turn it back into a livable property. The property was deemed unrepairable, tore down, and we've since put in a new tiny home on the property and put it out on the market for sale. There was a lien put on the property last year at some point, I believe, and I don't have my dates with me, but it was sometime last year, for the previous landowner for I think it was around $750, $780, whatever the number is. But anyways, what we're here to ask is, obviously, the Business Investment Group is a group of volunteers. The Business Investment Group doesn't have any financial capacity, so to speak. It's a group of volunteers that are just trying to help with the blight situation. This is one of our ways. We try to bring in new businesses, things like that, to the community, and ideas, and help foster that. This is one of the ways we're trying to help turn some of these blighted properties that currently the CUD doesn't get anything out of, because there's nobody there to obviously pay the bill, and turn them into new customers for both you, new property tax, and obviously improve the neighborhood. So the City of Caribou obviously took it on the chin for the property taxes to some point, and then ended up taking it back. We've done all the work of putting it together to try to turn it over, and we're asking the CUD to waive the previous owner's bill so that we don't have to try to raise that money on top of what we're already trying to do here as a volunteer group. Pretty much sum it up.
What happens if we don't do that? Whoever buys that tiny home is going to have to pay that? How does it, what
Well,
happens?
for us to sell it, I mean, we gotta get for any bank or anything like that, they're gonna want a lien-free property, right? And this is the only lien that we know of on the property is the CUD bill of $700 and something.
I think the total of all the liens is about 1,600.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, for all of them,
Okay,
because there's some older ones dating back prior. It's not just the one.
oh, I didn't
Yeah,
know that. I
yeah.
only knew of the one, so
Yeah.
that's new news to me.
Yeah.
David, it'll depend how they sell the property. They can sell it the same way the city sold it to them, and then they aren't responsible for that bill. Whoever buys the property then will be responsible for the bill.
Well, typically, when you buy a property, you'll run a lien search on it, right? And if there's liens, they expect the seller to take care of those, not the, it's kind of, I mean, you can.
Did you do that when you bought the property?
We didn't buy the property. The city turned the property over to
Oh,
us.
okay.
This is a partnership, and again, I'll reiterate why I'm here, is I'm asking for the same partnership for our organization with the CUD. We're doing our best and to try to turn some of these properties that would just sit there and be in a dilapidated state with no income for the CUD
So-
and get you new customers.
When did you put the property up for sale?
We've put the property up for sale in December, January, right around that time frame.
And what price is on the property?
$96,500.
And so what does the business investment group, if they sell the property for, $90,000, what happens to that money?
Well, we raised the money to pay for it, so, and we have some investors that we all would have to pay back. And so basically, we're just trying to take our little nest egg that we've worked to raise. We've put it all into this basket. When it sells, then we'll pick another project and do another one, and hopefully, over time, we can work our way through some of these properties throughout
What was
town.
your cost on the property to put the tiny home
I'd
on?
rather not say that publicly.
What-
We don't have the $1,600 in profit, let's put it that way.
Correct.
And that's not a lie. And I don't wanna talk over Troy by any means, but we're a 501c3, we're a nonprofit. So the idea is that we're creating a customer base for you guys, and then in turn, taking burnt down properties and dilapidated properties, and somebody's starter home, plugging it in there, and then it's a small, rather than no income to any of the entities amongst the city, just trying to turn some of these dilapidated properties back around. I wish we could sit here and say, hey, it would be an easy $1,600 and you guys are square, we made money and we could all walk away. But genuinely, hand on a Bible, we're not making that
There's-
money. We have it listed so we could break even and go about our day and invest in the next property.
And the business investment group is made up of different people. There's electricians that are on there, that they've done the electrical work and not charged until it sells and get paid. I mean, myself with supplies, we're all just trying to kick in and chip in and be part of a team.
But you all will get paid.
We'll get our money back, correct, that we've
No, I'm
invested
saying
into
the
it.
electricians will get paid for the time they spent?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
And who supplied the materials?
We bought a home that came from.
Finished home?
We bought a finished tiny home that came from the Northern Maine Community College. So this is a good project all the way around.
Was that one of those auction deals they hold?
No, they had sold it to a person and he bought it, ended up not using it and put it for sale. We saw it and we bought it.
Is the home hooked to the system now, water and sewer?
It is. The water's not turned on.
The water's
or
not
anything.
turned
No,
on.
I
but it's-
understand,
yeah.
yeah, but,
Till it sells, we didn't hook anything up that way. It's all ready to go. Just turn the valve on and hook the power to the building and it's good to go. But
How are the prospects looking for a sale?
we have a local realtor again, and that's just part of the thing, a local realtor that's, donated some time and whatever at a reduced rate to try to help us out, to put it out there, and she's had 7 or 8 people look at it already. We're just waiting, obviously we gotta do a little bit more landscape around and clean it up, and then I think it'll help that too.
How many do you anticipate dealing? Is it, you're looking at like one a year, one every couple years, or? is
Depends
it-
on how they sell and how
Yeah.
what's available with the city. I mean, this was our first one and we needed to do a proof of concept.
Yeah,
And I think the city's known that. It was it took, 3-4 years? Because it was before I was in, Mr. Swanberg was, who was passed, was the one I think that started that idea. And they raised the money to tear the building down and clean the lot up. Then we obviously raised money for 2 or 3 years, and then we found this opportunity with a tiny home, and we were able to move forward. So it's just, literally, it's just trying to scrape it by to turn something in from a negative into a positive in the town. And if that works, we can go do another one, and then, hopefully help solve some of that. It'll be a little small portion of the solution. It won't be just big doing that, but, we're just trying.
It's a great initiative, and it's much needed.
I could support this. I think, hey, it's a win-win. We're not gonna get that 1,600 without doing stuff like you did. So, when it's sold, and then we start collecting again, better than where we were.
We're actually collecting now because we've connected, and we're paying the sewer fee and stuff now, because we are connected, just not turned on. So it's already a new
already a
customer for
customer,
CUD at this point. And we paid the bill, and
Okay.
Jane, you got any thoughts?
I agree with what Dave said. I just, something in the bottom of my stomach, are we opening a can of worms that we don't want to?
Yeah, I think there's some concern about a precedent, and
Well, it isn't just the precedent, it's in our charter. you know, the liens structured in our charter, and we would have to change the charter. And, you know, through the legislature to, you know, to waive liens on property for utility.
And once we've changed the charter, then it is wide open.
Right, so this has been tested several times since I've been on the board, and it's been legal reviewed at the state and our attorney and all that, so short of that, I don't know what we could do.
As part of your charter, could we have an amendment that recognizes the business investment group where we are a 501c3 and nonprofit, if we're not making money, could we help you guys create customers as, I'm not saying that you can segue just the business investment group, but where we're trying to create your customer base again, this would be a partnership. You know?
Well, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, whether we do anything or not, we're gonna gain a customer. Because whoever buys the house is gonna wanna have water.
But this is slowing down our process for somebody to buy it if they do lien searches.
Yeah, but we want to help them do it again. And there's got to be a way around this. If that property sat there for the next 50 years, isn't there something where you just declare it something?
After 20, you're gonna wipe that lien away.
Don't
As
you?
bad debt?
Bad
Yeah.
debt, yeah. So let's declare it a bad debt and move on. Then we don't have to change the charter.
No, that makes sense. I like that.
But it's never been done in the past, is my point, to Dave and to Jay, because we have had different issues with this.
Have you ever had any scenario where a nonprofit's trying to turn? a
That's the
property like
only
this?
thing, no, that's the only thing that would be
This,
different.
to me, this is a citywide initiative where it's a partnership between the city by donating the land, a group of volunteers trying to do something good for the city and the CUD, bringing together a partnership so that we can turn a bad debt, because ultimately it's a bad debt for you, no matter what we do, if we sold it. Now, you're right, if you don't do anything and we have to pay it, and we sell it and we pay it, that's fine. But as far as me as a chair, at least I will look at this differently going forward and not look for properties with liens on them. I would avoid those.
Yeah.
But as far as precedent, if 6 more groups want to come in here and do what they did, go for it. I mean,
How many people?
how do you lose?
Homes are burning down and nobody's rebuilding, right? So you guys are losing customers at a rate that really. and if
Whatever
somebody had bad
whatever
debt-
we do, I mean, how is it gonna affect the city selling other properties to private citizens, whatever, to rebuild or whatever, that have liens on them? I mean, at one time, and David, when you and I used to sit on council even, I think even then, when the city sold those properties, most of them they sold for the price of what they had in it in taxes, what was owed to the COD, or CUD, and we got our money that way when the property was sold by the city.
But if it's a private person, they're gaining something out of it. They're gaining a property. I mean,
Oh, no, I
We-
understand
we
that.
can
I-
keep 'em separate.
I'm just saying, what's gonna happen in those instances? Are we opening up any doors there for, properties that the city sells? Because, and rightfully so, I guess, the city sells a property, their concern is what taxes are owed on the property. They don't really care that much about what the CUD is owned, and they have no responsibility to have to pay the CUD. But if they can get whatever they have owed on taxes out of it, they'll sell it.
Could I propose that we have a staff look into other options other than just writing off the lien? If there's other, like you say, if there's some way that it's bad debt or some other avenue we could use without opening that door of having to forgive liens for everybody who comes down the road.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that. Is that a motion, Dave?
I'll make that a motion then.
motion to table?
Well, yeah, let the staff investigate what.
What
all the
options might be available
Yeah,
other than foreclosing or whatever we do with that lien?
I'll
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Can you put a timeline on that in case we have a pending sale? shortly?
Next meeting,
30 days, I think.
or we can have a special meeting if we
special
had to.
meeting.
I think I'd prefer to have a special meeting, just to give them a definitive answer one way or the other.
Well,
much
if
as I
they-
hate to have a special
we'll have
meeting.
to see what they can come up with,
Right,
what
right, no, I
alternatives
understand.
there are,
Yep.
but if they've come up with something, we can call a meeting and get together and do it then, and if it's not sold, we'll just do it at our regular next meeting. But you should stay in contact with John, one of you, so that if there is a pending sale, we can meet very quickly. I mean, we could probably meet the next day or something and
Sounds like you're scheduling it in.
decide what
Yeah.
we can
We'll
do.
hear from you
Tomorrow,
Monday.
yeah.
We'll see John next
Put the
time.
pressure
Oh,
on him.
Us are on the development committee, all three of us, and John, and of course with John, so we'll see him in a week, so if there was a way, if you have something by then or whatever, that'd be great.
Okay, yeah.
And John, we can talk with John after the CUD, or CDC.
All right.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, good
See you
night.
later.
Did we vote on that motion, or we just took the
I
motion?
think we just took the motion. I don't think we ever had a vote.
All right, all those in favor of the motion?
I appreciate what they're doing. I just don't want to open the door.
I'm
Like,
the same way.
same
I
way.
agree with what they're doing. I think it's wonderful, but I certainly don't want to leave the utilities district in a position where somebody's taking us to court or something and saying, well,
Well,
they
you
did
did
this
it for
for
them.
so-and-so.
You did it for them,
Right.
well, why not for us?
Yeah,
And it has been brought up several times. I know, Dave, you will remember, we've had so many liens, and I've asked if we could abate or write off as bad debts and the liens, and I was told not to.
well, the argument of having a paying customer now, somebody buys a house, we're gonna have a paying customer, no matter who it is or who it's through, so.
Yeah, but let's not say, okay, we got one, let's hope for 2 and 3. I mean, I'm looking ahead that
Yeah,
hopefully
no, I
do
understand
this
that.
more often.
I understand that, so. Anyway. Can we get approval of the minutes from the April 16th meeting?
I have a question
Oh, sorry.
about the minutes. On the last page, last section, it makes it sound like John is still on probation, but he's not. So I'd like to have that rewritten. We discussed that his probationary, and we ended the probationary saying, you're
Yeah.
good, you're full-time, and we will look at your salary at the year anniversary.
Correct, yep.
So-
That was my take on it as well. Yep.
I wasn't here, so I was taking bits and pieces
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended minutes.
Second,
All those in favor?
I'll abstain, I wasn't here.
Sorry. Any other questions on the minutes?
We just approved them.
Well, we approved the change, I guess. We have to have a motion for all of the minutes, or just that one change?
My motion was to approve the
Okay.
amended minutes.
All right. Budget and financial reports for the period ending April 2025.
And the same as last month, there's still the 2024 stuff that hasn't been moved out yet. I don't know, I haven't heard from Tim.
No, I haven't either.
Yeah.
There was a death in the family, and then he was out on medical, and he's in the process of trying to clean it up, but we have nothing right at the minute.
Yeah.
The only comment I can make on the minute, or on the expenses and the revenue, somehow or other, I would like to get that long-term debt payments taken off of there. and have them separate somehow. Because it just throws everything out that you have no idea for that month what the result really is and where we're at.
So maybe that ties in with something I had a question on, is we used to put in capital expense. Maybe it could go there instead of under the normal operating expense.
Yeah, I'd like to keep this just as the operating expense somehow. So
Yeah,
that
that's
we-
fine. I can move it out and put it on its own
Yeah,
line.
even if you put it on the same page, just put it underneath as a separate line.
Yep,
I tell you though, I like this, the new
good, okay.
Yeah.
It'll get more powerful with time
new
too, because
layout.
then
Yeah.
next year we'll be able to compare at the same point where we are right now, at the same point next year at the same time, so I think it only gets more powerful with time, so. Thank you, though.
Where did the funds come from for the computer upgrades? Is that showing in here, or is that in capital?
That's capital.
Okay.
Yeah.
On wastewater department, under revenues, 425 and 413, what are miscellaneous service and fees?
Okay, mainly, we've been getting for wood, the guy who was doing the cutting over at the Grimes, he's finished now, but we have sold a couple of pickups
Okay,
that would go in under that miscellaneous
okay,
other income.
thank you.
Leachate is trending quite well, or had a couple of big months of leachate. And from what I gather, it's even going to improve throughout the year. They're getting ready to open their new cell, and it's going to be empty, so it's going to be basically a bathtub that all that rainwater gets treated as leachate, even though there's really not much for debris in it. So there should be a larger footprint, so we should get more leachate throughout the year.
Any other questions or comments on the?
Just on that, is the dollar amount that's been budgeted, is that a maximum, or is it what they're actually supplying to the wastewater plant?
So the 200,000.
Yes.
That was my budgeted number, but I didn't even know they were building a new cell until after this. It was just within the last month, but when I was talking to Mark.
So technically, it could be more.
Hopefully, it should be more.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Depending on he's holding off as long as possible before they put the new cell online.
Sure.
But it's coming. He was kind of hoping to get through the spring melt season before he had to put it online. So.
And do they truck any leachate at all to Fort Fairfield?
No,
It all comes
it
to
all
Caribou?
comes, yeah. It's direct pipe now, right to
Right.
the treatment plant.
Yeah, I would like to see the rundown on the capital expenses
Yeah,
again.
yeah. Yeah, I keep track of it, so it's just a matter of printing out another sheet.
Regarding, I think Jay's question there about the service and fees there, 425 and 413. I'm not sure that what we receive for selling the truck should go in there.
I think that's the only miscellaneous line we have, yeah.
We've been putting it in the other income, and then at the other, right along the same time, we reverse it out and put it into our reserved asset account.
So it would, to me, it would go into the vehicle replacement asset reserve or something like that.
That's fine, I mean,
Yeah.
I could change it very easily, it never has, but I could
Yeah.
change it very easily.
Because we got another big one coming up with the vac truck. I don't know, is that still in 465 range or something like that?
Yeah, it's just, the price is locked in, yeah.
Okay, and that's due when, later this fall?
The payment on it, it's
The actual-
on delivery. Yeah, so, late summer.
Okay, so our part of that, as I remember, was at 250,000?
Yeah, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but yeah, it's roughly that, and the grant has been received, so we've been paid for the truck already.
Okay, and remind me how we're gonna pay for it. Are we gonna use some of our own money, or are we gonna
No,
borrow
it's
it?
a 10-year, 0% loan on
Okay.
our portion
Okay,
through the bond bank.
okay, sounds like a deal.
I have one quick, and I'm embarrassed to ask this, just, I'll go wastewater, but treatment under revenues, line 401, is that ratepayer?
Yes, it is.
That's what's, okay.
And on the water side, you'll notice there's ratepayer, and then for the hydrants for the city, it's two separate figures.
Yep. So metered would be ratepayer. Okay.
Customers, yeah.
Told you it was a dumb question.
No,
No,
I knew I should know that.
Can I get a motion to approve the budget and financial reports?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor? Department updates, John.
sure, so I think we're all set on the big debate for now. On the water side, the capital improvement project for the PLC and SCADA, County Electric is going to be the general contractor, and they have a sub from Southern Maine to do the instrumentation kind of alignment stuff. I'm always concerned when there's only one bidder on a project, so I reached out to Dirigo and Chuck Kelly to see if the price seemed to be in line with the current industry rates, and they both felt that it fell in line. And I've only had good experience with both of those contractors with my time in Fort Fairfield, and we also toured Ashland Water and Wastewater that just went through this same upgrade that we're doing that they did it there, and they were very pleased with the outcome there as well.
Okay,
So-
what's the cost on that roughly?
It is. Do I have my? It was right on budget of the capital what we had. I don't know if anybody has their capital in front of them. I didn't bring mine tonight.
it was on the very first of the year.
It's the first time I haven't brought my laptop since we started having meetings. Because I've never been asked anything I couldn't answer. And I don't want to throw out a number that,
Oh, I had it here somewhere. So it's right where you'd expected it to be.
yeah,
Okay, I'll look it up.
I can email you the number in the morning.
So you had asked Chuck and Dirigo to provide a proposal for
To do the work,
to do the work?
yeah, and they both passed.
Okay.
And that's when, afterwards, and then that's when I asked them, do you think this price falls in line? Any other questions on that before we move on? or- Yeah. On the wastewater side, the FEMA process continues to move forward. So they asked for some additional information, which we provided, and then luckily, almost within a few days, they responded back that kind of giving us the terms of what the loan would be, and they wanted to do a site visit. And they fell short of saying that's the final step, but I believe that's the final step if they're going to award it, is the site visit and us signing off on the terms of the loan.
Well, it's good news just that it's still alive.
Exactly, yeah, yeah.
Oh, boy, that would be
And
a
then,
real plus to get that done.
yeah, we'll get, first step is to get the grant, and then the next step is to figure out how we can compress the schedule as much as we can to get the project over with as fast as possible. They don't anticipate this program going away, but FEMA's had some other programs where I'm sure they didn't anticipate the funding to disappear on, a day's notice either. So I don't want to get stuck with a project that we've ordered a generator and then a grant falls through. So we want to compress it as tight as we can. But we'll kind of worry about that after the grant's awarded.
And the site visit is still planned for the 23rd of May?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, that's a MEMA representative that's coming up for the tour.
Okay.
This is somewhat unrelated, but related. Have you had any noise complaints from the abutting neighbors at all with the wastewater?
I haven't. Sort of,
Have you, Jay?
Not, I guess I can't really say a complaint, but they were surprised at how loud the plant actually was.
mhm.
And,
Hmm.
but I'll leave it at that because I was like, oh, okay, I'll bring it forward. And-
Yeah, personally, I have not, and but no one's mentioned anything to me. If it happened while I'm here, I'm sure someone would have mentioned it
Oh,
to
yeah,
me. If it was
yeah.
prior to me being here,
Yeah, this,
probably would have got brought up by now. That
right.
there was,
No, this was just recent.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Feel free to give them my number, and I'd like to talk to them about
I
it.
did. Just,
you?
just-
Okay,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
for sure, yeah. Yeah, we want to make sure we're good neighbors.
Yep.
That's all I've got for wastewater updates.
Any more news or anything happening out at Loring or anything? Possibilities?
I haven't heard anything. Dirigo hasn't started our study yet, so we'll see. But yeah, I haven't heard from them. But I'm not really anticipating to hear from them either until
Yeah.
we get deeper in them. I asked for a bunch of information. They provided it within a few days, so we have all the info that we need, which is good.
So with the new computer system, is that just to get the upgraded operating system?
Yes.
It's nothing to do with our accounting software, our CUSI or any of that?
No.
That's another whole issue then.
It is, yeah.
Heat pumps working pretty well?
They are, yep. Yep. They worked great during the dead of the winter, what they're designed for, but kind of this time of year, they're good when you still have some cool nights and, yep.
But it cooled the place off well today.
It did, I think I was the first person to turn on the air conditioner today. And within just a few minutes, I could already feel the difference, so.
All right, next scheduled meeting, I guess. Or anything else from the board that?
I just had one issue I kind of harp on, I guess, but it's work zone safety. I know there's a lot going on up here on High Street and up on Sweden Street, but I pulled off the bypass the other day and there was our equipment trainer right in the middle of the street and stuff going by, and it didn't look very well protected to me. I'm just a little worried about that situation. So I don't know if you can get DOT to do a little workplace, work site safety training or whatever, or maybe it's just in a hurry, but it looked a little scary to me.
We talked about having everybody do the OSHA 10 traffic control safety program that they
Yeah.
offer. And then, like, the same day we talked about it, that's when we found out that they were coming to Caribou first this year. And they were coming like on a week's notice, so no one's had a chance to do it, but that is on the plan to everybody do the 10-hour online course for work zone safety.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
can you
it's-
explain again what happened?
Well, they were there working on, I suppose, either the curb boxes or something, but they're right in the middle of High Street, right in that horrible intersection there where you come off the bypass. And I come by it, and I kind of reached out and grabbed one of the guys. It was so close.
Yeah, they had to remove all the manholes to get them below grade for the grinder, and then lower all the gate boxes, water gate boxes, so.
As people come off of that bypass
Because
flying.
I had brought an instance to John earlier. And
Yes,
he-
very similar to
And
what.
he addressed
yeah.
it, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't have anything.
Unless we buy a bunch of $1 million life and make us the, what do they call?
Don't even say it.
No, we can figure that out. So next meeting in June, I'm not likely to be here unless you have it on the first week.
How big a family do you have that you have to?
Well, they're not around here anymore, is the trouble. They moved away.
Well, have fun.
We've got a high school graduation and a college graduation, all right in early June.
Well, let's schedule it our regular time,
Regular?
and
Yep.
then we'll see if,
I'll make sure Matt can attend,
Yeah.
and then, okay.
yeah. And somebody else may have something come up by then too, who knows? So,
So June 11th.
Yep.
Nothing else from me?
Move to adjourn?
Second?
all in favor?
Thank you.
Microphone's off.
Penny, did you go to the county budget hearing? They gonna